Hey everybody, this is Yoritomo back with another AFK Cats video, and this time I am going to talk about burn. The last video I did was talking about poison and how difficult it is to build that team. So this time there are more cats available to do burn. So first I'm going to take a look at the cats that could contribute to the team but aren't necessarily the best ones for a burn team. So first I'm going to take a look at Sparkles here. So Sparkles has a burn that does 60% of his DPS for 3 seconds, but it doesn't stack. He does do more damage against burning characters, but it's only 30%. And it does have, each time Fire Drill deals damage, it has a chance to jump to the nearest enemy with full duration. So you could have stacks of fire going around the battlefield, but in my mind, it's too little to build this cat as a 1-star, because 1-stars really are difficult to build if you can't find them in events or in the catacombs. The next cat is Maniac. Now this is a cat that people have said is one of the best fire cats, but I don't really think he synergizes that well with a fire team. So his basic attack has a 50% chance to deal damage equal to 100% of his DPS to all enemies in his target's line, and it deals damage equal to 50% of his DPS every second for 5 seconds, but that's only going to be a couple stacks at most of burn. So again, he's probably a decent cat to have in a burn team, but I wouldn't put him at the top of the list. And the rest of his skills basically just make him more durable, keep him alive longer. So he's a pretty good cat, but the synergy it's okay. We've also got Jean-Claude here. So Jean-Claude also has a burn, and it's not bad if you're doing a burn team against a boss, but it's only a single burn. So unfortunately, his burn here isn't as good as some of the other boss killers, and in a burn team he's only doing 1 stack of burn. So again, the synergy is questionable with Jean-Claude. So next we move into the water cats. So we have Pekka here, and Pekka, even though it's a water freeze cat, so he's got a chance, 10% chance to freeze an enemy for 5 seconds. So it could be useful to have some CC in your burn team. He also does frost burn, which counts as burn. So it does some damage for a small amount of time, and it does more damage to fire, but again, only a single stack of burn. So helpful, but doesn't really add to the synergy of the team that much. Next one, let's go down to our sun cats. And the last one, so Raymond's a really good cat. Raymond does a lot of damage, and he does some burn. So again, he's got a single burn. So he would have a place here. He's certainly a good cat and will do a lot of damage. But let's take a look at the cats that really have some good synergy. So let's take a look at Ashburn. So Ashburn, his basic attack applies burn that deals damage equal to 15% of his DPS each second for 4 seconds and can stack up to 20 times. So if you get 20 stacks with this ability, you are at 300% DPS every second. So he's doing pretty good, and he applies a lot of stacks. His next ability, once he gets to maximum stacks, its duration and damage are doubled. So he's doing 600% every second. Now realize that you probably aren't going to get maximum stacks against a normal team. This is going to be a boss battle because it takes a while to get all the way up to 20 stacks. But he also, every stack of burn on the battlefield increases his DPS. So people have talked about having multiple ash burns in a boss team so that they're stacking massive amounts of burn and then they get up to maximum stacks and they're just multiplying off of each other. The DPS scales up and it'd be really interesting to see a team full of Ashburns. Now he is a 3-star, so he's not horrible to build. He's not a 1-star or a 2-star. So he's really one of the most efficient burn team members. Then we've got Mastablasta. Unfortunately, he's a Catacombs cat and a 4-star, so he is a bit difficult. But his synergy is pretty good with the other cats as well. So his critical hit chance is increased by 10% plus an additional 0.5% for each stack of burn on the battlefield. So you can already see that putting him together with Ashburn is a pretty good synergy. Also, any direct damage he does applies burn, which deals 25% of his DPS every second for 8 seconds. And if he critical hits, he applies 2 stacks at once. So that goes up to 10 stacks, which is 250% of his DPS. So now these stacks are building with the stacks that Ashburn creates. And then his burn also has a chance to spread to the nearest target. So he really works well with Ashburn. So now let's take a look at Silius. So Silius is known for dropping a big nuke. So the first thing that she does is her basic attack, the DPS, increases for 6 seconds by 10%, and that stacks. And then once that's at a maximum, her basic attack applies Sunburn, and that counts as burn, deals damage equal to 30% of her DPS each second for 6 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. So not only is that 150% damage each second, but it's another 5 stacks of burn on the battlefield. Now that burn does go away when Silius uses shines, but the damage that she does with the nuke when that goes away is pretty incredible. So she really works well with a burn team. She is a sun cat, but the best way to get copies of her is in the Catacombs. You buy the 4-star sun, random sun cat, and you're either going to get Silius, or you're going to get Alice, or you're going to get Cleocatra. Either way, you're getting a really good cat. So she's not that hard to find. So the other cat that really synergizes well with this team is Katarina. Unfortunately, she is one of 2 cats that are the hardest cats in the game to get. So, and you want your tank to be high level, so I don't know how realistic it is for her to be the tank on your team, but I really like the way she synergizes. And this is why each time she takes direct damage, she'll apply burn to the attacker. This burn deals damage equal to 5% of her DPS each second for 5 seconds and can stack up to 5 times. So if all of the cats on the enemy team are targeting her, you can add up to 30 more stacks of burn on the battlefield. She's got a lot of other good abilities as well, including coming back from the dead, but this is where she really synergizes. So if you can build her up tough enough to be your primary tank, she would be great on a burn team. So there's one last cat I want to talk about that would actually go well with the poison team or with the burn team, and that's Asan. So this guy makes it so that any on-hit effect from basic attacks has an extension. It increases it by 25%. So a lot of these are like Ashburn's attack, that every time you hit, you stack the burn, but it's a fairly short duration. So this makes it so that each one of those lasts 25% longer. So that gives you a better chance of getting the stacks up the way you want them to be. And Asan also has the basic attack dealing a bonus damage equal to 30% more for each unique debuff on his target. So if you're doing a poison team or you're doing a burn team, this really synergizes well because you're going to put a lot of stacks. Even if you're optimizing around not having Doctor steal your debuffs, this isn't a debuff, it just stacks off of the other cats. So I think Asan has a decent chance of making it into your team. Of course, he's got this ability so that when he has debuffs being put on him, he can send them back to the target. So like I said, and I talked about in the poison video, Doctor has this ability so that when a friendly agent has 4 or more unique debuffs, Doctor cleanses them and does a heal. So if you know you're going to be going up against Doctor a decent amount, then you want to make sure you have 3 or less debuffs being put on the enemy cats. So that's something to think about. So that's been my video here. I think it's a lot easier to put together a burn team, and even if you can't use the cats that I was saying were the optimal ones like Mastablasta and Silius and Katarina, there are a lot of other options that do fit in the team. You've got Puro, Maniac, you've got Pekka if you want to have some CC in there as well. So there's a lot of options here, and I think this one's a lot easier to play around with. On my alternate account, I'm trying to do both poison and fire. I'll see what happens there. The poison is just so hard to build, and I was planning on doing poison, but I keep getting fire cats, so I'll keep you updated, see what happens there. So as always, let me know if you've got any ideas for a good fire burn team here, and I always appreciate likes and comments. As always, everyone stay safe out there. Your Tomo out.